All right, let's talk quarterbacks. Your quarterback rankings are, as always, something that's a delight. And I don't have a ton of arguments here. You've got Aaron Rodgers at the top. He was back in form in a fantastic way last week. Drew Brees at the second spot. He hasn't been his usual self, which is saying a lot for someone who's still throwing 300 yards per game and 2 touchdowns every game. Eli Manning, fresh off being the #1 fantasy play in all of the NFL last week, and he's in your 3 spot versus an Atlanta team that gives up plenty of yards through the air, followed by Romo, Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, all the way down at number 6 because of the Cardinals defense, although he is at home, and then you've got Matt Ryan at 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a ton of that. I think that there are 2 names missing from your top 7 or 8, and they're down at 9 and 10. Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers has, I believe, an 8-1 or a 9-1 touchdown to interception ratio this year, and he's only started in 55% of Yahoo leagues.
I don't get that.
That's unthinkable to me. Or maybe he was only drafted by people who had Peyton Manning. I don't know. I don't know what that story is.
You know, there was that predominant line of thinking that if you weren't going to go for one of the elite QBs, that you could really get some big bang in the 5th through the 8th rounds. There would be a lot of value, and you'd probably be one of those Cutler Romo guys, or maybe you'd be a Rivers and Roethlisberger type of guy. How in the world now you're either not always starting Rivers, or you haven't decided to spin him for an RB1 because somebody else is getting frustrated with McCoy, or maybe somebody else is like, I'm tired of dragging Eddie Lacy's rear end out of bed and reminding him he's got to go to school and do his homework every day.
Yeah.
So he's been huge. Look at that. 3 touchdowns against Seattle. I could throw 4 touchdowns in my sleep against Jacksonville, but 4 touchdowns, 4 of the ugliest and still yet most counting touchdowns. He's just, it's 2 years into his renaissance.
Yeah, this has been,
he's great.
I think we were all saying, he's going to have to regress this year. He has not. He looks fantastic, and his wide receiver core is more healthy. Keenan Allen is back from the dead, and then Eddie Royal and Malcolm Floyd look great too.
I know.
And Antonio Gates refuses to die.
It's been nice, though. There hasn't been a stiff breeze in San Diego because, when there's a stiff breeze, Malcolm Floyd tears his hamstring.
Yeah. Also, Philip Rivers' passes sail out of the stadium. They get caught in an updraft, they're just gone.
Yeah, I know. I saw 3 kids with old Nintendo pistols shooting at Philip Rivers passes. They are wobbling ducks. Philip Rivers, and he is playing this week at home, where he plays extremely well, better as most quarterbacks do because they love their home cooking. And it's against the Jets, who continue to not be able to, though it is only 4 games into the season, they have not solved their secondary issue whatsoever.
No, I think that you've got a great shot at. It's a little bit of the conundrum that we used to have with the Saints with the wide receiver core. It's like, who's going to get the benefit of the touchdowns? Is it going to be? It could be Malcolm Floyd on some deep balls this week because the Jets secondary is that bad, or is it going to be Eddie Royal on the short passes in the red zone, or is it going to give Keenan Allen his due? I don't know.
We can get into that. I've got a whole spiel saved for that for wide receiver.
But regardless, the Jets, who are leading the NFL with 14 sacks. So if they can get to Philip Rivers, maybe they can make some things happen. But a great rushing defense, and the Chargers have no rushing offense right now with Ryan Matthews injured, Danny Woodhead injured, and Donald Brown playing horribly.
What? Yes. Donald Brown not playing up to expectation. God damn it, Donald! One of the greatest sound bites of all time. Pardon my French. I hope I didn't offend anybody there. Philip Rivers could vault his way into the top 5 this week against the Jets. But one thing that's actually helping San Diego on the whole and giving Philip Rivers the time he needs to engage year 2 of the Philip Rivers Renaissance, or the PRR as I like to call it, is the fact that they finally have a really good offensive line out there.
Yeah.
Their center went out. Rich Ornberger, former Patriots swing tackle guy, has come in, done really well. Thank God the Pats got rid of him. He's been played pretty well.
There's been some troubles with the first snaps when he first came in. I think they had 2 or 3 fumbled snaps when he first came in.
But since then,
it should be much better.
And King Dunlap, one of my favorite names of all time.
It's a good one.
It's a great name.
How about at number 10, Andrew Luck, all the way down at 10? You must have a lot of respect for the Ravens defense. Because Andrew Luck has 13 touchdowns through the air plus 1 on the ground through 4 games, averaging something like 326 yards per game. He's good. He's real good.
Yeah, he's.
It's no longer just like the big 3 and then maybe Andrew Luck is 4th. It's like, oh, Andrew Luck is here, folks, by the way.
Right. Yeah, he and his neckbeard came barging through the door, and they are here to stay. It is pretty awesome.
I really wish the beard wasn't there to stay, though.
It's just, he always looks fresh from a Rumspringa. You know what I mean? Like, it's just got that straight. Anyway, forget about the look. Yes, he's having a tremendous year. And just imagine what he would be doing if he really had, if he had, his wide receiving core is good. It's not great. They seem to play up to his level.
Yeah.
Ahmad Bradshaw for the next 3.5 games that he'll enjoy him before he breaks his neck or neck foot or whatever it is that he sprains.
Neckfoot, a very popular graffiti artist in Brooklyn.
He's really, I enjoy his work. Yeah, I mean, he's great. The Baltimore cornerbacks may just be the right side. That may just be the right kind of secondary I could see possibly disrupting little tiny T.Y. Hilton and maybe giving Hakeem Nicks, who kind of needs, like, Hakeem Nicks he's a sailboat that performs extremely well under the proper conditions. But if you do anything to disrupt him, forget it. All is lost. He needs absolute perfect conditions.
He capsizes in rough waters.
Takes on water, and this is just 85 minutes of Robert Redford.
All right, your final 5 in the quarterback is we got Jay Cutler at Carolina. 12 is Nick Foles versus St. Louis. He was garbage against the Niners. Oof, man.
Yeah.
That was not fun to see.
That was moldy bread. That was moldy bread crust.
Yeah.
That was just a pile of yuck. I mean, I can't figure out how in the world, when other teams have shown the way to score against San Francisco, you're not going to put up a 40 spot. You're not going to do the quintessential Chip Kelly 35, but to not score an offensive touchdown.
How do you get
negative fantasy points?
You get 2 special teams and 1 defensive touchdown, and you still manage to lose. That takes real effort.
How about that? It takes a certain kind of special somebody to put that together. How about that stat you dropped on me before the show? The Eagles didn't cross the 50 until the 4th quarter.
Yeah. No, that was not good on their part.
That was well. You've banged this drum before, and I've been listening, and now I think I'm even going to put some guitar and vocals to it. Nick Foles is the drawback.
Good.
No, he's not good.
he's going to have great games because of the Eagles' offense, but with the regression we've seen in the offensive line because of injuries and suspensions, they do get Lane Johnson back this week. The Eagles do. That should help him, both Foles and LaShawn McCoy. But yeah, Nick Foles is the weak link in that Eagles offense. Number 13, Colin Kaepernick. Talk about massive talent and just not all that reliable. You see, like he can make a perfect throw a couple times a game, and then he makes several terrible ones throughout the course of a game.
Yeah, if Brett Favre were tatted up and related to a bird, I would say that's the way Kaepernick plays.
Yeah.
Like, he reminds me, just like you've got all this talent, and you just, again, no matter what, obviously someone's either tuned Harbaugh out, or this is just the reason why Kaepernick fell to the 2nd round and people didn't want to come within earshot of him, because he's got all the talent in the world, but he continues to try to work outside scheme and force things that you just, like when the ball leaves his hand, you're just like, I absolutely is going to sail into the sidelines or an opponent's arms. I just won't play a conservative game. And if he did, he'd be a much more successful quarterback.
Rounding out the top 15 are Cam Newton versus Chicago and Joe Flacco versus Indianapolis. And Nick, where's Russell Wilson on this list? Russell Wilson playing
go to 16?
Monday night at Washington. The Washington football team is giving up the 5th most fantasy points to quarterbacks, and that's with 2 of their games being against Ryan Fitzpatrick and Chad Henne. They just gave up 34 odd fantasy points to Eli Manning. I think Russell Wilson will be a top 10 quarterback this week.
Yeah, but I was thinking, by the time they take Russell Wilson out when it's 48-0 in the 2nd quarter because Marshawn Lynch has gone capital beast mode. It's a bit of an oversight, but also I can't see. I probably would put him in the 12 to 13 range. Again, yes, the Washington is just god awful against opposing quarterbacks. The way that they made they literally revived the New York offense. They let New York actually work out plays so that Eli could scheme and understand this new West Coast offense better. They made Larry Donald this week's tight end must pick up superstar. He almost caught 4 touchdowns. After the third one, wouldn't you have thought, okay, they're in the red zone, cover the tight end? No. Only pass interference in the end zone prevented it. Unbelievable.
I think Russell Wilson, we're looking at 220 yards passing through the air, because it's not that much. 3 touchdowns, and then an extra 40 or so yards on the ground.
I see him I call it that, where I see Russell Wilson being sort of the Chuck Woolery zone, 2 and 2, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Okay. I mean, it's just, the Redskins are in for a handful on Monday night, and we just don't know where those scores are coming from in the Seattle offense. So who knows? Maybe it's Percy Harvin's day.
I especially think it could be Percy Harvin's day.